a suburb in the Birmingham area of Alabama, where we have endured quite a few storms. We'll be talking about those here in the next few segments and telling you what's going on. Lot to cover today, but it is a Passover weekend, and we'll be talking about that as we go forward today and this weekend. And so grateful to have you as part of the show. And today in studio, you can watch the show live from facebook.com/B1 Radio. If you're interested in seeing the show, just go there and watch. You can also pick up the show on any of our different ways we communicate it. Podcasting is probably the easiest way. So wherever you get a podcast, you may do that through Google or iTunes, Apple. Just go out to one of those sites and type in the B1 Radio Show. You'll be able to find it real quick. You can subscribe to it or just listen to it today. Subscribe and listen, and you can pick up all the past shows that way. And that's podcasting live. You can also go out to our website, b1today.org, and pick up the info there. Love to have you check out all the past teachings from B1 Ministries. That's b1today.org. Spell it all out, BEONE today.org. And it just wouldn't be a radio show if we, of course, if we weren't on the radio, but it wouldn't be a radio show if I didn't have the most important woman in the world, the one, the only.
Beautiful, strong, gentle, all words to describe the wife and mother of the year. Here she is, co-host of the #1 show on the air on this radio station right now, Sherry Friedlander.
Did I hit it?
Yeah.
Did I hit it?
Missed it by that much.
I don't have my headphones on, so I can't actually hear it. So that was pretty good, though. I was following after you.
Visual cues.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm happy to have you here.
Good to be here.
We're fighting the sleepies,
Yes, we are.
but we're doing well. We're doing well.
I'll get about halfway through this coffee, and I'll be perking right up.
Yeah, and if it stops raining, you'll go get another cup probably.
Yeah, that's true. I might. Maybe at the top of the hour break, we'll go get a couple more cups of coffee.
So glad to have you here, Miss Bear.
Good to be here, Mr. Bear.
I call her Share Bear. I mean, that's a little. I call her Share Bear all the time. That's a little thing, whatever. So I just took off the share, went with bear, and there you go. It's a cute, not like a grizzly. I mean, it's like a cute, cuddly, kind of friendly bear. I'm not
like
talking
a sloth.
Brown bear?
like a sloth. A sloth is not a bear.
Am I like a koala bear? I'm clingy, or am I like
koala bears are cute, but I've heard they're vicious, so I didn't want to call you a koala bear because I've heard they're not the friendliest things. They look cute, but they're kind of like they'll rip your head off kind of thing. I don't think they're that
Every
nice.
time
Now, panda bears are sweet little lovey-doveys.
They're also large.
Okay, so you're not a panda. Not a panda. We're not going panda bear.
You know what? Back to the koala bear. You know what I was thinking about? Every time I think about a koala bear,
Let me guess.
I know you know what it is. That's not fair. You've known me for over 30 years. This is like so a no-brainer for you to know this. But go ahead. Let's see.
Koala bear.
That's what you thought I need? No.
Tim Conway.
No, that is funny.
Tim Conway, Carol Burnett.
No, Michelle, Jeff won't remember this, but you may remember this. Back in the, I don't know, late 70s, early 80s, it was super popular. They made these little clip-on bear things that you would clip onto your collars and stuff, and koala bears were one of them. Do you remember those? Anyone?
No.
Anyone?
No.
Really?
Michelle
so
was a
cute.
metalhead. Michelle was into hair bands. She's not doing koala bears on the suspenders. That's not happening.
No, it wasn't suspenders. Like you clip it onto your collar.
Yeah,
and it'd be
Michelle.
Like a koala bear.
There's no way Michelle was doing koala bears.
I was wearing a piano tie in junior high. Did you remember those?
Yeah.
Or the pearl ties and the big puffy sleeves?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry.
Okay. Well, do you remember those from any of the girls in your...
Oh yeah. I was big time into paying attention to. Baby,
oh my
you are
goodness.
such a Debbie Gibson.
Oh.
I mean, you're so Debbie Gibson. It's not even. I mean, you're sitting in the mall like with the Debbie Gibson concert, going da 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 da.
I did have big hair. I had big hair.
Well, let's bring in Metalhead. Here she is behind the protected glass, the one, the only.
Alone in a dark room, smearing cream cheese on a bagel and reading a Torah scroll, Just kidding. Still eating a box of Cheez-Its. If that's what it takes to make B1 Radio the #1 show on the air, she's in. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman of the web, Michelle Makes Us Famous Irvin.
Boom.
Yeah.
There she is, the
Good morning.
old pinned koala bear. Did you? Maybe you had like a piano pin that you put on your piano tie.
No.
So you're one of those that wore a tie.
On occasion, when they first came out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I was
Did you ever go through the plaid skirt and corduroy jacket phase
the plaid skirt?
and corduroy jacket phase?
No.
Wow.
Now I did the ruffly
how are
shirt.
we friends? How are we
You
friends?
were probably like the girly girl, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I was not a girly
Oh
girl.
my gosh.
I never
Have you
viewed
seen
myself
yourself in high school? Have you
But
seen
I
the
never
pictures?
viewed
I
myself
met
as
you.
a girly girl.
I met you you were 18 years old. You had just graduated high school. 3 months later, I met you in college.
Yes.
Your first year of college. I know basically high school Sherry. High school Sherry was definitely girly girl. High school Sherry was pop
culture?
music,
Yeah.
pop culture, and rebellion, serious party. but it was not party Sherry of like drug addict, heavy metal band drug addict Sherry. It was.
Like
it,
you,
it wasn't.
Michelle.
It wasn't piano
I'm
tie
like,
Sherry.
I wasn't a drug addict.
Saying is it wasn't Gene Sherry.
It wasn't Gene
Is what you're
Sherry.
saying.
Yeah, wait, it wasn't video producer Gene Sherry. It wasn't piano tie Michelle.
Nothing says heavy rocker than a
A piano tie.
Yeah.
But Sherry was, she liked a good laughing party. But
Well,
it was,
of course, who doesn't?
but it was the bubblegum rock.
Yeah, yeah.
The kind.
Yeah.
And you
Let's
you
be
love to
honest.
dress up. You love the little trendy fashions. I mean, you were
No, I just
trendy.
never thought of myself that way.
Oh, come on.
I really do. I don't. It's so interesting how you view yourself versus how others view yourself, and I never saw myself that way.
Wow.
That's funny. That's
Well,
funny.
you were
I'm
cute.
gonna look up and find this koala bear pin for you.
That's why we leave high school and disassociate ourselves with everyone we knew so we can live in that image.
Yeah.
Because I was not a car-stealing drug addict when I was in high school because none of those people have told me so since.
Well, our Facebook world is so different now. I see all
Well-
my friends from high school on Facebook, and they communicate back and forth, and I'm like, man, they're nice people now. Like, what happened? Like, in high school, they weren't that nice to me. Like, they're really kind now.
It is interesting, to be fair, when we went to our
I
10-year.
forgot. They can't hear the music.
Oh, I'm like, okay, we need a signal. I'm like,
We
why
got
are we
bumper
still
music that's been playing
talking?
for like 8 minutes now. Michelle's like, we're breaking now.
Gene and I are just
Gene and Sherry talking. I totally forgot. They don't have music in there.
Okay, I'm muting your mics now.
When we come back, we'll talk more about life.
Rejoice all you nations, hear me, O Israel.
Are you ready for something new? Ready to see the Bible through Hebraic eyes the way Yeshua, Jesus, saw it? Real-time Torah is for you. B1 Ministries is proud to present a Bible study digging into the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and connecting the writings to the New Testament and to you. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m., you can experience Messianic Jewish music, powerful prayer time, inspirational educational teaching, and great fellowship. Real-time Torah is an outreach of B1 Ministry. Go to b1today.org for directions. That's b1today.org. Spell out the word one. Real-time Torah, discovering ancient wisdom for modern applications.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I'll have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it?
Justin, OMG, I love you, Justin. I love you.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Shema. Leola.
Swear, bring us back with the Shema out of Deuteronomy chapter 6. And happy Passover. Welcome into B1 Radio. Happy Passover to everyone as we are in the Passover season right now and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We're going to talk about what all that means, particularly the Feast of Unleavened Bread as we go through today's show. We got a lot of news to cover today as well. And but before we get to some of the news, one of the things on the Passover side, before I get to Passover, we should talk about Storm talk first, and then we'll get into Passover.
Yeah.
Talk about some of those experiences and what we did, and we'll give some information and a little bit of new stuff going on. So this past week, in our local area, many of you in the country did not experience this, but in our local area here in Birmingham, we experienced significant storms and Alabama, actually, northern Alabama, middle Alabama, significant storms. They started out in Texas and came across in Louisiana, Mississippi, and into Alabama. And Sherry and I live in a neighborhood that is about 35 miles south of Birmingham. And it's just a little subdivision, city, little small town. And Sherry, I think we talked about it. I've never been in a tornado. We've always seen the tornadoes.
And we've lived in the South
most of our life. We've lived in the South.
Is...
We lived up north a little while, but most of our life we've been in the South. And this area, they call it Tornado Alley. It's kind of a place where when the tornado season hits, which is typically March, April, May, is kind of tornado season. The weather just really gets really funky. You have a lot of, not to play meteorologist, but you've got a lot of hot pressure mixing with cold pressure and crashing into one another in the atmosphere. And
lots of triangles and circles.
The triangles and circles are crashing, and next thing you know, there's a spinner. And so this happens, almost every year, but sometimes it's worse than others. And a lot of times we haven't, I think we've had a tornado maybe a couple, 3 miles away from us at the closest ever. And so we didn't really feel anything. And we've seen the damage of a tornado and straight line winds. We've, lived in neighbor areas, driven through areas in our city where it's hit.
Right.
So we're sitting at home, and this tornado stuff, we're watching it all day. And this is last Thursday. We're sitting at home, we're watching the tornado, the weathermen. And a friend of mine is a storm chaser, and so he calls me.
Well, no, to be fair, there were two different storms.
Yes, there's a morning storm, right?
One came through earlier, much north of us, and so we weren't even affected except by some little bit of rain.
And it did tremendous damage in the Pelham area, in the Pelham area, and then Indian Springs, Helena, and then over off Highway 280 in the Birmingham area. If you're familiar with Birmingham, hit in a neighborhood called Eagle Point there and destroyed some 20 homes, got massive damage, 30 homes damaged in all.
So that was that morning
that-
storm.
And
that-
you had Roebuck and Trustville and Margaret area.
They got hit. So
Yeah.
a lot of damage to that earlier storm. Fortunately, no one injured, no one killed in that storm. And then, but that storm also moved up north to Atachi, I can't, Otachi, I think. And that unfortunately did kill 5 people. And so that was a really tragic situation. So then that afternoon goes by, and we're getting into the early evening, and Sherry and I are at home. We're still watching the weather because now we've got a second storm piling in. And the second storm is producing tornadoes everywhere. And so my friend who's a storm chaser, he's out chasing and seeing all these things. And he sends me a bunch of texts and sends me video and sends me radar clips. And he's circling things on the radar and saying debris ball, massive storm. So he calls us about 15, 20 minutes, I think 20 minutes before he calls us. And he says, "Hey man, I think you need to get out. This one's coming at you. It's gonna hit your town, and you need to leave." And I said, "Well, how far away is it?" He said, "It's about 20 minutes." And
Like,
it's
"All
on. And I said, "So where do I need to go?" He said, "Well, you need to go north.
That's truly not our first response.
Yeah, that's not your first response." Sherry's
don't
like,
know. I mean, we got a few minutes to
we
decide,
can-"
don't
Well, I
we?
did say to him, I said, "Where do we need to go?" He said, "We'll go north and go about 10 minutes up the road, 15 minutes up the road, and you'll be fine. It's not going to hit there." And I said, "So I got about 10 minutes to make a decision." And he goes,
You got about 3 minutes.
"You got about 3 minutes. You need to decide
It's
right
moving
now." He goes, "This
fast.
thing is moving fast." And he goes, "Look, you do what you want, but if it was my house, I've seen enough of these things. The tornado's going to do what it's going to do to the house. You're not stopping it. I'd get out." And he goes, "Just leave." And so I told Sherry, I said, "We're leaving. I mean,
we
if he,
loaded up our
if my
dog
friend
and-
if my friend Stuart says get out, he ain't kidding. We need to get out. I mean, he just he's not. He does this all the time. He knows." So so we pile up the dog. We grab our stuff. We pull out. We get up about 10 minutes north of us, 12 minutes north of us. Pull into a Walmart parking lot, and we're just watching the black clouds roll in. We're seeing the lightning start to pop and all that stuff. And we get a little bit of rain up there, but literally it's just like watching a show. And so we're listening on the radio to the weatherman, and my friend is still sending me all the texts and stuff. And we're listening to the weatherman. The weatherman goes, "Okay, if you're on Timberline Ridge or Timberline Trail, you need to be
Timberline Drive,
you need to drive. You need to be in a safe place. It is hitting you right now. You need to be." And we're like,
That's
our street. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, you're at my
Yes, to put
like,
your
oh my
helmet
gosh.
on.
You know, you just don't really think hearing your street called on the radio, you're
Yeah.
like, wow, that's really weird. So it finally passes by, and we go, okay, let's go back home. So we're driving back home, and honestly, to be honest with everyone, I truly didn't think it hit us. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's just Mr. Positivity or
Well,
Mr.
it's just
Denier.
surreal.
No, we've just never
Yeah.
experienced it.
Well,
you
in
know.
that same storm, my sister was in the closet because she was on the edge of the university, and it was coming through
Yep.
center. It hit Centerville head on and destroyed their little airport and horrific damage. And she was getting the remnants of that, even
Yeah.
though it wasn't going. And so she said it was terrifying in her closet, like her whole house was shaking,
Wow.
and it was like such huge sounds. And then it was just right after that, it headed over the interstate to you, and I'm
Yeah.
like texting.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. all
Well,
right."
so when I forgot to mention, when we pull out of our neighborhood, my friend across the street is on his front porch, and I'm like, "Hey," I'm not calling his name, but I'm like, "Hey, my friend Storm Chaser said we got to get out of here. Like, you need to leave. Get in your car. Come on, go, or get in a safe place. Don't sit here." And he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, I got it. I
I'm
got.
watching it.
I'm watching it. I'm good." I'm like, "Dude." So we bolt out anyway. So we're coming back, and I'm thinking to myself as we're driving up 65 to go back home, I'm truly thinking to myself, there's no chance it actually hit like our home or whatever. I really just, what are the odds of a tornado actually hitting your house? Like, it's not going to happen, right? And so you just
never expect it.
No, you don't. You really don't expect it. We're pulling into the neighborhood, and the front part of our neighborhood,
Untouched.
pristine. Like, there's not even like pine straw on the floor. There's no
branches, yeah.
branches. No, I'm like, okay, good. We're good.
Bad
We
storm.
pull around one of the areas, and I get a phone call, and it's my neighbor that I had warned to get out. I go, hey man, he goes, so your fence is laying on the ground, and there's some shingles gone, and I'm like, wait a minute, is he calling to tell me my house got hit? Is that what's going on right now? And I'm like, well, I'm in the neighborhood. I'll be there in like 2 minutes. He goes, well, I was going to go over and see if I could help out or whatever. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
geez.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm on the way. I'll be there in a minute. Then I hang up the phone. I'm like, okay, everything just shifted. Like our house got hit by a tornado. What is this? This is not right. So we pull on down. We get down to and we turn onto our specific street. There's people all in the street. Cars are everywhere. Trees are down all over the place. Start looking at houses. Roofs are missing. Second stories are gone. One of the houses, as we're driving by it, the front doors, it's two big double wood doors. They've been pulled. They're gone. They don't exist. It's like the tornado came around and ripped the doors out of the thing. There's a gutter, huge, like a 15-foot piece of gutter that's been twisted like a pretzel, and it's perpendicular in a tree. There's a huge tree that's one of those big diameter, oak trees or whatever. It's laying on the ground. I mean, it is pandemonium. It looked like a war zone.
Yeah.
As we're driving down, all the privacy fences are gone. There's no privacy fences. They're all history. And and Sharon and I are looking at each other. We're like, oh my gosh. Like, we can't get to our house yet because of it's crowded. I'm like,
what are we going to find
this
when we
is
get
like
down
really
the street?
bad. Like, our house may not even be standing. This is not good. So we get down to the bottom and we can see our house, and the first thing we see is the fence is laying on the ground, and that's destroyed. But then we look and the house is intact, and we realize, man, we dodged a bullet. God just really must have protected us. Our roof took some damage. We'll have to get a new roof and some things, but it is minor
Really
compared to all these other houses. It's like
literally
nothing.
you can literally sit at the top of our neighborhood and see the path, and it missed our house by about 3 houses.
Yeah.
In the street behind us, and I was walking the next day with the dog, and just because of course there's insulation everywhere. It looks like it snowed in the neighborhood because it's just everywhere. And I was just walking, and I truly just burst into tears of gratitude.
Yeah.
That I was like, Lord, I don't know how or why, but thank you. I mean, thank you that we had warning to get out. Thank you and we had no loss of life in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
No loss of life, no
that was
injuries,
really-
which is truly a miracle, because there was one of the people we saw. We went up to help some people move some stuff if we could, and honestly, there wasn't a lot we could do right then. But we parked the car, we checked the damage on our house, realized that our damage was not going to preclude us from living. So we immediately went up the street to see who we could help if there was a crisis or something of that nature. And there really wasn't a lot we could do except console. So I put my arm around this one guy, and him and his family are standing on the sidewalk, and they're staring at their house. There's a tree laying in it, and the windows are all gone and all that. And I'm just looking. I said, "Is this your house?" And he just looked. And he goes, "Yeah." And you can just feel the pain. He's just like, I don't even know what to do. I'm just staring at this thing. It's just I don't even know what steps to take right now, because your house being destroyed.
Real.
You just don't even. You're in shock, And we went to this one guy, this poor family, man. The whole second story's gone, and him and his son or somebody are up on their now. What was their second story? They came out, like, how you walk upstairs into a second story, and there's a door to get into it. So they open the door, and they walk out into what is now a convertible. There's nothing there. I mean, I'm not talking about like there's rafters left and the roof is just gone. I'm saying it's like it sheared it off.
Yeah.
The front part of the attic is still there, and where there was a second story room, there's nothing. It's just open sky. All the boards are gone. So they're trying to put some tarps out to stop the water from getting into the bottom of the house and save their stuff, And we're talking to him and asking him, what can we do? How can we help, or whatever? And he's just like, thanks. We're just putting tarps out.
We don't know.
That's it. But you can tell everybody's shell shocked. It's like, it truly is like a war zone. Your house. And one of these guys that we talked to, and then I'll let Gene talk. One of these guys we talked to, he hunkered down in his closet, and he told us, he said, we weren't there. He said, it did sound like everybody talks about it. It sounded like a freight train.
Yeah.
Shook. They went outside. That was it. And my neighbor that I had talked to, he said 10 seconds. That was it.
Mm.
It was that fast.
Mm.
Destroyed 12 houses, almost completely leveled, is what the news report says that I have.
Yeah, it was moving, I think, 50, 55 miles an hour. So it was scooting, and these were long track tornadoes, so they went 150 miles, 200 miles. There are also stories of miracles. There was
Yes.
a family that stayed in their mobile home, and the entire mobile home was lifted up and just thrown away like it was gone. They were in it, and they were found, I think, 2 days after the tornado. The crews had been going around looking, and no one knew where they were. There were no reports of missing people or whatever. So there were people trapped in their homes, and the crews. And one of the things we have in Alabama is one man with a chainsaw is worth 10 with a clipboard.
Yeah.
And literally, that's what happened. One of these crews that went around to cut up trees and help people heard something from this trailer. The trailer apparently wasn't destroyed. It looked like it was supposed to. I guess it looked like it was supposed to be there, and they heard these people.
You got to be kidding me.
Now they're at UAB, and they're.
You've got to
No,
be kidding me.
apparently it just picked it up, like it rolled it over and didn't. But it was still intact.
Wow.
Tornadoes are weird things.
They are.
We had the tornado was about a mile north of us in the morning, and about how far you live from me? 10
Maybe 10 miles.
Yeah, about
12
10
miles,
miles
something like
south of us in the afternoon. Debris landed in my yard, and I was a mile away from the one in the morning.
Wow.
Well,
Tornadoes are weird things.
Well, there's debris in the parking lot here. Is that? I'm wondering if that's from the storm.
No.
Oh, that's another story.
Apparently that's a drunk.
That was a drunk driver last night. Took out the sign. No,
Oh.
that wasn't a tornado.
Okay.
His name may have been Tornado. He might have been driving a tornado, but no, it wasn't a tornado.
Well,
I
Did you
just
hear-
sent you both a link to an article from Shelby County Reporter that has the story about our personal neighborhood, and it has pictures of our neighborhood, so you can see what we're talking about. So if you guys will post that up onto our Facebook page, and if you go out to B1 Radio's Facebook page, there'll be a link there. You can click that. You'll be able to see pictures of what we're talking about. And when you see them, it'll just shock you and blow your mind. It'll also give you great empathy for the people that are going
you also
through
talk
this.
about the power of weather and storms. One of the things that we did have in our house that was kind of perplexing to us
Yeah, this is weird.
is I'm looking at the front door and there's like this. It looks like sawdust or
It's white.
or like
If you were
drywall,
like if you're
drywall.
sanding sheetrock,
And
right?
it's just laying there in the middle of the floor, and we're like, "What on earth?" So we're looking, and like, did the ceiling something happen?
Like
Or the crack?
inside your house?
Inside the
our
house,
at
on the
front
floor.
door, like but away from the door, but in this weird place. Then I'm vacuuming, and over on the other side of the house, by the windows in the dining room, there's another pile of it. I don't think I told you that.
I saw it.
And I think what happened is the wind was blowing so hard, it blew the debris from whatever's under the walls into the house.
Or it shook the wall enough to shake
Or
dust
it's
off
something,
of it.
but it was so interesting, and it
That's
was
so-
only in random places.
Yeah.
It was, but I thought about the power of that wind and that, because it lifted our grill up and tossed it in our yard. But I will say this is so fun. So every piece of furniture on my back porch and in my backyard got tossed, was in my backyard, except for the 3 homemade pieces of furniture.
That's
I
amazing.
have a bench that his mom made. I have
Mm-hmm.
a garden bench thing that his mom made, and a table my son just gave me for at Hanukkah. Not one of those was touched. So
That's
Ben goes,
amazing.
"Homemade is better made."
Wow.
So if you want some furniture, call my son Ben Friedlander. He'll make you some that can tornado, steady. So, but yeah, that was very interesting. That it didn't. None of that was even affected by the wind.
That's amazing. Yeah,
thought
like
it was
Jean was saying,
interesting.
there's
Huh?
so many miracle stories. And
Yeah.
we have a mutual friend. I don't even know if you guys saw the story or not because you've been on the run, but he has his own air conditioning company. Did you see the story?
Yes, I saw that
So
story.
he was in the attic working at
Oh yeah,
Eagle
Brett.
Point.
Yeah.
And his wife is this is the neighborhood that was completely devastated almost, and his wife is texting him, that hey, you need to take shelter. And so he got out, but the house was hit, but no lives.
Unreal.
I mean, miraculous. And James Spann's house got hit while
Yeah.
he was live on, so and churches came out, people everywhere of different states are here. You know,
Yeah,
Samaritan's Purse is coming.
I was stunned. Our neighborhood's like it's not cleaned up by any means. I mean, there's debris everywhere, but still, they got all the trees pretty much cut up and done. They've got all the fences kind of torn down, and tarps are on roofs, and now it's just insurance and construction time. Everybody, there were a bunch of U-Hauls and a bunch of Metro trailers out there as people are moving out of their houses now. Everybody had to move out instantly, you know. So a lot of homes people have had to move out of because they can't stay in them. But now it's kind of the houses are all back, and it's just now it's just construction and insurance. But anyways, you know,
Old Town Helena broke my heart. That's where
oh
this
yeah,
quaint little
trees.
town. I drove through it yesterday coming back.
Yeah.
And trees are completely gone.
Yeah.
But
all right, we come back. We'll talk about some news and get into Passover a little bit and update you on that stuff. And we'll be sending out an updated link for Passover that you can be a part of the live stream this evening. Then we'll talk in just a moment.
Oh no, my computer locked up.